So we have a lot to discuss here, and I'm bringing in Kevin Hincks, co-host of Fast Market Live at the CBOE, because we talked about Lisa Cook being under the microscope about a week and a half ago or so, and now President Trump posts this letter firing her. I mean, she's saying obviously he can't do that. He has no merit in doing this. It is getting a bit messy, isn't it?
Well, it's certainly something that's going to be figured out in the courts. Right, that we know, because President Trump fired her for what he feels is cause. If, and this is if, right? We always talk about alleged in these situations. If she committed mortgage fraud, is that a fireable offense from the Fed? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but President Trump thinks that he has the right to fire her. Nicole, here's what we know for sure. This will be figured out in the courts. There's two people, there's a person on each side, and the courts are going to figure it out. So more to come. But as for right now, a letter has been sent. Lisa Cook is saying she won't leave. So welcome to another good day to be a lawyer, Nicole.
I mean, the other thing, too, is it comes into the conversation of Fed independence. The Fed is supposed to be independent of the White House. And when you start to see someone like this sort of being looked at so closely, and he says, she says, and, you know, it makes you wonder about the rest of the folks on the Federal Open Market Committee. You know, someone says maybe who's next. And again, as you said, we have to wait and see. In the meantime, we've had the steepening of the yield curve where the short end has been coming down and the long end is going up. People are watching that as well. Any final thoughts on this before we move on to some of the data?
I just think this is real simple. Who's in charge of the Fed? If someone committed mortgage fraud, is it the president's authority to do that, or should Jerome Powell be taking care of that? There's, you know, it sounds like it should be something that is handled by the Fed, not necessarily the president of the United States. So listen, and at the end of the day, there's good and there's right and wrong. And if she did something wrong, she probably doesn't have the right, especially with mortgages and interest rates, to be on the FOMC.
Understood. All right, let's talk about what's going on in the world of housing, right? The state of the housing market, and we're getting in, obviously, a lot of things to watch as well. We got in new home sales yesterday.
Yes. New home sales were a nice beat. As you know, the numbers came out. I've got them right here. New home sales were 652,000. That was higher than 627. This is yesterday's numbers now, and higher than expected at 628,000. So a nice beat there. This morning, we're getting Case-Shiller Home Price Index, and it looks like the numbers here that we got are higher. It looks like, let's see, the year-over-year numbers, 2.1%. I'm sorry, that's lower. House price index up 2.1% year-over-year, month-over-month. It looks like unchanged. So the numbers, if I'm getting them right, yeah, there was up 0.4. Yeah, that's unchanged. That was up 0.4 to unchanged in the Case-Shiller House Price Index. So the month-over-month numbers unchanged, year-over-year up 2.1%. That is lower than last month, 2.8%. Does that move the market? Probably not. What's going to move the market in the next, day, next 36 to 48 hours is going to be, without a doubt, it's going to be Nvidia's earnings. Now, we did get durable goods. That was a great number out of durable goods, Nicole. We got that about 8:30 Eastern time, and that was a nice beat. They were expecting down 4% for new orders. It comes in down 2.8%. Transportation, that takes a lot of the volatility of planes and cars out of it, up 1.1%. That's a full 1% better than consensus. Core capital goods, also up 1.1%. So pretty solid beat numbers here out of durable goods. House price index, a little lighter than expected, but you would probably think that's to be expected with everything that's been going on with housing, although you are starting to see some recoveries in housing, but not necessarily in prices. So a little data out this morning. One better than expected, one a bit less, and we are waiting for Nvidia's earnings. And believe me when I tell you, Nicole, it's not just going to move Nvidia, it's going to move the entire market.
Oh, for sure. I agree. Let me just stay on the economic data for a moment. The durable goods number that comes in at minus 2.8%, beating the minus 3.8%, and the prior was minus 9.3. So it shows durable goods some improvement there. And if you remember, we talked about the New York State Empire manufacturing number, and that showed some good news when it came to orders and things. So that sort of sometimes, not always, can stand as like a bit of a precursor to this. It made me feel good to get that Empire manufacturing number, and it makes me feel good to see durable goods going in the right direction. The new home sales, I feel like it's a little murky because, yes, it was a beat from the estimates, but the prior were changed so that the month over month didn't look as good as it could have, right? I mean, that real. So I feel like housing is still a bit depressed.
Housing is, I would describe the housing market as bottoming out and trying or starting to recover, right? Some of the numbers are coming out a little better. The new home sales number, pretty solid, right? Nice beat there, but all the housing stocks are beat up. But there are glimmers of hope in the future, like the case in point. Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway taking stakes in Lennar and D.R. Horton. That's good news for the future. There's people now investing in the bottom fishing for the housing market and home builders. So if interest rates start coming down in the second half of the year, could be a really exciting time for the housing market. But the housing market in general, for the first 6-7 months of this year has been dead in the water and doing nothing. And therefore, it's not surprising that you would see house prices coming down as builders and sellers lower prices in order to sell homes. So I just think this is the normal progression. I think we look like we're starting to bottom out in terms of prices and move higher. You're getting all the things that happen on lows, like things like Berkshire Hathaway taking stakes in builders. They're looking for a recovery in housing. Lower interest rates should do that, Nicole.
Right. And look, I mean, pricing is coming down. Affordability is such a huge issue with high mortgage rates. Insurance is expensive. You have to get a certain down payment. So prices should come down because they've been too frothy and lofty and all those things. I mean, so coming off of probably a high bar. Thank you so much, Kevin Hincks. It's great to see you always. Love our chats in the morning, Kevin.